Today is part 2 of my how to take the bar exam, how to pass the bar exam. My first piece of advice is to book a hotel. Cook your own food. You don't want to take any chances with regards to food. Again, preparation is key. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've been watching, you know we are in the Life as a Lawyer series. Today is part 2 of my how to take the bar exam and how to pass the bar exam videos. Today we're going to talk about the actual days of the bar exam. As I alluded to before, I took the California bar exam back in July 2014, so it's been a little bit of time, and I know now it is a 2-day exam versus when I took it, it was a 3-day exam. So the way I'm going to be talking about it is a little bit different, but I think you guys can apply the same principles whether or not you're taking the California bar exam. And even though you're taking the 2-day exam versus the 3-day exam, you can still use the same tips. So let's get right into it. My first piece of advice is to book a hotel. Now I know this might sound a little ridiculous, especially if you live in the area, you can easily drive there. I took it at the Ontario Convention Center even though I lived in Irvine at the time, and so I could have easily driven, but my professor said that you don't want to take any chances on the day of the bar exam. And this is a theme that you'll see throughout the video. You don't want to get into a car accident, you don't want to have something happen to your car, you don't want to have to wake up extra early just to drive, you don't want to deal with traffic, you don't want to jeopardize anything in terms of being late or missing the bar exam entirely. Obviously, you've done a lot of studying up until this point, and you want to make sure that you get rid of any extra factors that could hurt your chances on the actual day of the bar exam. So one of them is to book a hotel. I booked mine about several months in advance. I booked it in February even though I was taking the July exam, and I booked it at the Comfort Suites in Ontario. The bar exam actually has certain designated hotels that have special rates, so make sure you check their website. I did this one because it came with a fridge and a microwave, and I'll get into a little bit of why that was important later on. But I booked it actually for 5 days and 4 nights, and that's because I wanted to check in a couple of days early so I can get settled in, understand the room, get the location figured out, and make sure that I can get used to sleeping in that room, because I want to make sure that I'm not there right before the test starts and I'm not able to sleep or I'm not used to the area yet. I basically checked in on Sunday night and then I checked out Friday night. The exam was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I checked out on Friday. That way I can, after the exam on Thursday, I can come back and rest a little and not have to be stressed about taking my luggage to go or where to store it, or just being able to relax after the long day of the exam before I drive back home on Friday. Obviously this is not an option for everyone because it costs extra money and it's sort of an extra step, but I thought it was important to be at the actual area and just being able to walk to the convention center and not having to worry about driving or anything like that. Another thing to mention about the hotel is that you may want to get a room on the first floor, or at least a floor that you can actually walk up and down the stairs just in case the elevator is broken. I know it sounds paranoid again, but you just never want to take the chance that somehow you're stuck in an elevator or the elevator doesn't work and you have to take the stairs, so just keep that in mind. In case you're curious about the actual hotel where I stayed, I'll link my Yelp review below, but essentially it was a good hotel. It was pretty reasonable. It was fairly quiet, although you do hear the train sometimes, and it was about a 10-minute walk, which might sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it was fine to the hotel, and my friend and I stayed in the same one. That way we could walk together and walk back together. My next piece of advice is to cook your own food. Now I know this sounds really paranoid, but my professor also mentioned you don't want to take any chances with regards to food. Sure, you can go to a hotel, restaurant, you can go to a restaurant nearby, but what if you get food poisoning? What if you eat something that you're allergic to that you didn't know that you were allergic to? And what if it causes you to lose sleep, so you're tired the day of the exam, or you're too sick to even take the exam? Why would you take that risk? So what I did was I brought my own breakfast foods, I brought my own dinner. I just cooked what I usually do, which is my chicken and broccoli and rice, and I just packed 3 dinners worth. That way I could eat it Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night before the exam. As well as packing my own lunches, which I did sandwiches, so I brought bread, lunch meat, cheese, and lettuce, and an apple. So I made sure that it was stuff that I always ate normally. I didn't do anything differently. That's why I needed a fridge and a microwave so I could heat it up. I'll talk about the format of the exam later, but usually you're able to go back to your hotel room and eat lunch, and obviously at the end of the day you can eat dinner there. This is just an extra precaution that I would recommend and that I took because you really don't want to take any chances the day of the actual bar exam. And even though the hotel had a continental breakfast, I didn't eat it on the days before the bar exam because I didn't want to take any chances there as well. So I just brought my own cereal, or You can bring breakfast bars or eat eggs, something to keep yourself full throughout the exam because it's going to be about 3 hours before you're eating lunch. Now, I'm sure you'll get a lot of emails from the actual bar examiners, from your professors, from other students about what to bring on the day of the bar exam, but make sure you pay attention to what is on the prohibited items list because you don't want to bring something that will force you to either go back to your hotel or throw it away. So basically, you bring a giant Ziploc, a clear bag, and you put all of your items in there that basically acts as your purse. For me, I brought gum because I like to chew gum while I'm taking exams. I brought, chapstick, feminine hygiene products in case you get your period for some reason. You bring pencils that I think are pre-sharpened because you don't want to have to be looking for a sharpener or in the middle of it your pencil breaks and you need to sharpen it, so at least bring like 3 to 4 extra pencils just in case. You want to bring highlighters, pens, things that you usually use on exams. Do you like highlighting in different colors? Bring those different colors. Do you like using Post-its? Bring Post-its, as long as they're not prohibited. And usually you have to bring things that are already factory sealed. So just go out before the bar exam, make sure you buy everything that you need. Bring extras just in case. Maybe your friend will need an extra, you never know. Make sure you bring your admission ticket, your ID, and your laptop, of course. You want to bring your charger. You might even want to bring an extra charger in case your charger breaks. You just never know what could happen. A lot of people bring their own watch, but I didn't need one because I have one on my laptop. Don't think that the convention center will have its own clock because you never know where you'll be sitting and if you'll be able to see the actual clock. On the day of the MBE, make sure you do bring your own watch because, like I said, the convention center or the place where you take the exam may not have actual clocks. And remember, on the MBE, you don't use your laptop, so make sure you bring some sort of watch so that you can review the time. Also bring earplugs if noise or silence is something that you don't like. I happen to be seated right next to the bathroom, so I constantly heard a lot of flushing. It probably would have been nice to have earplugs, but honestly, the sound didn't really bother me that much. So if sound is something that bothers you, if the sound of other people typing, then make sure you bring earplugs and are prepared for that day. Another big tip is obviously dress in layers. You're going to be in a giant convention center and it's going to be cold. The air conditioner will probably be blasting even though it's July in the middle of summer and it's going to be really hot. The inside will be cold. So if you're going to wear a tank top, make sure you bring a sweater. Make sure you bring even an extra jacket just in case. Make sure you wear closed-toed shoes if your feet get cold. You can't bring extra blankets, I don't think, so just make sure that you are dressed warmly and in layers in case it gets hot when you're walking to and from the convention center, but it gets cold inside. Now I want to talk about the actual day or days of the bar exam. Like I said, I had a 3-day bar exam where it was basically 3 essays, then a PT, then the MBE on the next day, and then the third day was another 3 essays and then a 3-hour PT. But now you guys only have to take it 2 days, so it'll be hopefully an easier process for you guys. But for me, I would recommend first getting there about half an hour early. For us at the Ontario Convention Center, the doors opened around 8:15 even though the test didn't start till 8:30. So I would start walking probably around 7:50, 7:55, get there around 8. You'll see a ton of people, you won't get lost. I would also recommend that you test walking to and from the convention center the day before. That way you know which path you want to take. Again, you don't want to take any chances that you get lost, that something happens. You should know your path beforehand. You also have assigned seating, so it's not like you can sit next to your friends, although supposedly it's when you signed up, because I noticed a lot of the people around me were from Chapman because we all signed up at the same time because our professor made us all sign up together. You might see some familiar faces. They make it sound really scary, like they're gonna be super strict, you can't do anything, you can't even laugh, but they weren't really like that. I saw people walking around saying hi to one another before the exam, so it won't be that strict. And also, the person that you'll be sitting next to on your right or your left, or both, will be the same people that you see throughout the entire examination process, so they'll be your neighbors for a little bit of time. You also have plenty of plugs. For us, it's basically long wooden tables with chairs. I don't remember if the chairs were comfortable or not. They're probably the typical plastic chairs, so I wouldn't expect too much, but there were plugs and there are outlets in each table, so you don't have to worry about not being able to find a plug for your laptop. And like I said, sometimes you might be seated in the back, the front. For me, I was seated next to the restroom. Just be prepared for anything. So the bar exam is broken up into 2 halves, the morning session and the afternoon session. In between is when you have lunch. So that's when you actually leave the room. You can go back to your hotel. Some people go to restaurants, but like I said, you should probably bring your own lunch. I would just go back to my hotel room, make my sandwich, eat it, sort of rest your brain. I wouldn't really try studying because there really is no point. You don't want to overwork your brain. However, if you finish early, you do have to leave your laptop at your table. It kind of sucks because you have to trust that no one's gonna steal your laptop. For me, I left it there and it was fine. They lock the room after everyone leaves. But if you actually wait until everyone finishes and they call time, then you might be wasting time where you could be resting or eating your lunch. For example, right when they call time, they have to collect all the materials from everyone, and that takes probably an extra half an hour. By the time you walk back to your hotel, eat your lunch, and by the time you have to be back at the examination room, you really only have 30 actual minutes to eat, even though they claim you have 2 hours. Usually I finish a little bit early, so I would just turn in all my materials, leave my laptop there, walk back to the hotel, rest, eat, and then head back for the afternoon session. So just something to keep in mind. If you tend to finish early, I would just leave early instead of waiting for everyone else to finish, because you're going to be sitting there wasting a lot of extra time. A lot of people I know took the bar exam at the Ontario Convention Center just because it has a lot of space. It's pretty big, it has plenty of parking as far as I could tell, although I wouldn't know because I stayed in a hotel room. There's cheaper hotels nearby, and you don't have to deal with LA traffic. I will also link my Yelp review to the Ontario Convention Center below, that way you can read all about my experience there in case I didn't cover something in this video. So those are all my tips for the days of the bar exam. I hope you guys found this video informative. As usual, I'm thinking about you guys on the day of the actual bar exam coming up in July, or if you're taking the February one, or if you're just trying to get ahead and understand what the bar exam will be like. I know it's really stressful, but you've already studied up until this point. You know all of the information, you should feel confident, and now you just have to eliminate the extra factors that might cause extra stress for you on the day of the bar exam. Like, for example, staying in a hotel to make sure you don't have to deal with traffic, or you don't have to deal with any issues getting to the bar exam location. You want to make sure that you cook your own food and bring your own food so that you don't get sick eating food at a restaurant or somewhere else. And make sure you dress in layers, you dress warmly, you take a look at the convention center before you take the actual exam so that you know the path that you're taking. And basically, again, preparation is key. Making sure that you ask people, you know, their experience on the days of the bar exam, their experience at the certain convention center that you may be taking the bar exam at. And again, I am here for you. Please list your questions below and I will try my best to answer them based on the California bar exam and the Ontario Convention Center, or even the Comfort Suites hotel that I stayed in. The links to my Yelp reviews will be below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to subscribe for more videos. Now that we are done with the bar exam section, we are moving on to how to find a job after law school and after taking and passing the bar exam, how to go in-house like I did, how to switch from California to New York. Because again, as you know, I live in New York, but I took the California bar exam, but I did not take the New York bar exam, and I'll tell you all about how I was able to do that. So stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!